The grand arena of Epsilon Prime hummed with anticipation as thousands of alien spectators filled the crystalline seats. Commander ZWX Thor of the Krallian Empire stood at the center of the combat pit, his 4 arms flexing in rehearsed patterns. Behind him, arranged in perfect formation, stood his elite squad, 12 warriors who had trained for 5 standard years in the most brutal conditions the galaxy had to offer. They had studied every known human combat technique, dissected every recorded battle, and prepared countermeasures for scenarios that would never occur. Their target stood alone on the opposite side of the arena. Captain Sarah Chen, late of the Terran Defense Forces, rolled her shoulders casually and checked her wrist chronometer. She wore standard-issue combat armor, nothing special, nothing enhanced. No visible weapons adorned her belt. The betting pools across the galactic network heavily favored the Krallians at odds of 47-1. Human, ZWX Thor's voice boomed through his translator, you face the finest warriors the Krallian military academies have produced. We have trained specifically to neutralize your species' unpredictable tactics. We have memorized every... Yeah, Sarah interrupted, stifling a yawn. You studied humans. Got it. Can we start? I've got a poker game in an hour. The insult rippled through the crowd. ZWX Thor's facial ridges darkened with anger. He signaled to the referee, a floating orb of pure energy, which chimed the beginning of the match. The Krallians moved with perfect synchrony, a pincer formation designed to overwhelm through superior numbers and tactical positioning. Their movements were flawless, the product of thousands of hours of drilling. Sarah didn't move. The first warrior reached her, all 4 arms extending in a grappling technique that could crush Duralloy. Sarah sidestepped, not in any way the Krallians had studied, but with the lazy efficiency of someone dodging a puddle on a sidewalk. Her elbow came up almost as an afterthought, connecting with the warrior's primary breathing orifice. He dropped. The second and third came together, their attack pattern extracted from a human military manual they'd acquired through espionage. Sarah's response wasn't in any manual. She grabbed a fistful of arena sand and flung it in their faces, a move so primitive, so beneath the dignity of formal combat, that they'd never even considered it. While they clawed at their compound eyes, her boot found vulnerable points with brutal precision. ZWX Thor realized his mistake in that moment. They had trained to fight humanity's best tactics. But Sarah wasn't using tactics. She was improvising with the chaotic creativity that made humans simultaneously fascinating and terrifying to the ordered species of the galaxy. The next 6 warriors fell in a cascade of misdirection and violence that looked more like a bar brawl than military combat. Sarah used weapons that weren't weapons, a handful of gravel, a discarded helmet, even one fallen warrior's own arm to trip another. She fought dirty, fought mean, and fought with an absolute disregard for the rules they'd memorized. 14 seconds had elapsed. The last 3 warriors, including ZWX Thor, hesitated. That hesitation was fatal. Sarah closed the distance in a sprint that no Krallian, with their powerful but slower physiology, could match. She slid between ZWX Thor's legs, popped up behind him, and delivered a strike to the neural cluster at the base of his skull, a weak point they'd intentionally hidden from human databases. She'd figured it out anyway by watching how they moved. 28 seconds. Sarah stood alone in the arena, breathing only slightly harder than when she'd started. Around her, 12 elite warriors groaned in varying stages of consciousness. The referee orb chimed her victory. The crowd sat in stunned silence. Sarah checked her chronometer again and grinned. New personal record, she muttered, already heading toward the exit. She had a poker game to win, and these aliens had no idea she was even better at cards than she was at fighting. Behind her, ZWX Thor managed to lift his head, watching her leave. They had trained for years to understand humans. In 30 seconds, she'd taught them that humans could never truly be understood, only survived.